Just over a year has passed since the last of 4 dams on the lower Klamath River came down in southern Oregon, opening up hundreds of miles of prime salmon spawning habitat. But now, some of those fish have taken a wrong turn as they work to go back to the places where they haven't been in over a century. It's our big story tonight. So it's been called the largest dam removal and river restoration project in U.S. history. Dams on the Klamath River blown to bits the past few years, opening up roughly 400 miles of the lower Klamath Basin to allow fish like salmon to repopulate. Federal regulators gave the green light back in late 2022, a decision celebrated by then-Governor Kate Brown in her final weeks in office.
It has taken nearly my entire tenure as governor, but finally, we can say with certainty that these dams are coming down, and it's about damn time.
The dams had been there since 1918 and most recently provided hydropower for Pacific Corp, though the utility noted they produce less than 2% of the company's electricity. In early October of last year, the dam removal was complete. Tribes in southern Oregon and northern California fought for decades to make it happen, to allow salmon back to their historic habitat. And it only took about 1 week for a Chinook salmon to swim past one of the dam sites for the first time in more than a century. Experts said it marked the beginning of salmon recovery in the region. And fast forward to September of this year, and you have this monumental moment, a Chinook salmon ascending the fish ladder at the Keno Dam on the upper Klamath River. The first visual confirmation of salmon making it that far upriver since the 4 dams were removed, heading to historic spawning grounds. Now, each of those updates seen as a great success in reintroducing salmon to the upper Klamath Basin in Oregon, which is great. The not so great part, some of the fish are ending up in areas where they are not likely to spawn, let alone survive. Okay, you're looking at salmon swimming in an irrigation canal in the Klamath Drainage District. It spans 27,000 acres of farmland. Farmers there rely on the water that's diverted from the river into these canals. In this case, we're talking about the 80 Canal, highlighted here on this map. You can see just how close this area is to the Oregon-California border. Water managers say the fish don't stand much of a chance once they find their way into offshoots from these canals called turnouts, which lead to farm fields.
You know, my district, the concern is we don't want the fish going where the fish shouldn't be going. You know, we don't want to see fish flopping around out in the fields. That's not a good thing. I mean, we actually have fish in our canal right now. I was down there this morning looking at them, and it's a cool thing, but it's also it causes a bit of anxiety as well and frustration. You know, we shouldn't be put in this position, and here we are having to start really pushing some buttons to get some action.
We talked to Scott White last month, and when he says pushing buttons to get something done, he's talking about an agreement signed 9 years ago between the feds, Oregon, California, and stakeholders in the Klamath Basin. It's called the Klamath Power and Facilities Agreement. One part of the deal aimed to limit burdens on irrigators if and when fish like salmon were reintroduced to the area. There's a section that talks about non-federal funding for entertainment reduction facilities, otherwise known as fish screens. ODFW has a section on its website showing numerous different kinds of fish screens. Okay, they're most basic. They're like gates that allow water to travel into the canal turnouts, but stop fish from straying into them. Despite that Klamath Agreement deal being signed back in 2016, 0 fish screens have been installed in the area so far.
How I picture it in my head, you know, is the canal is a highway. And we've been asking for the last 9 years for the government to help us close the off ramps, if you will, because there's construction going on out there. You know, if you go out there, that's a bad place for you to be. You know, we don't want you taking this off ramp. We need help closing those off ramps so that they stay on the highway and get to where they should be going, which is the refuge and potentially back to the river. You know, back and forth, stay on the highway is all we're asking. We need help closing those off ramps. if we can get every fish to go and spawn, we should be doing our level best to try and give those fish that opportunity. And so obviously a fish gets out into a field, it's not going to get that opportunity to spawn. Very likely not get the opportunity to spawn. And if it does, there's no way that the fish are going to get back out of the field. It's just not going to happen.
In a statement, ODFW told us, although it is unfortunate some fish have found their way into canals and areas lacking suitable spawning habitat, this behavior of exploring and searching for newly available suitable habitat in the upper basin is exactly what is needed at this time for successful repopulation. We are monitoring and hopeful that these fish will return to the main stem and ultimately find more suitable habitat. The agency also tells us that demand is far outpacing supply for these kind of screens, and that it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of project. Each screen needs to be designed specifically for each site. And as we showed you, there are several different types of screens. ODFW stressed to us that the timeline for getting these screens installed is a much longer process than what many expect, but they continue to work on it. The agency is working with the Klamath Drainage District on a $4.5 million fish screen project in the 80 Canal, with the first screen planned for next year if the funding is approved. But the decade of delays leaves water managers like Scott White frustrated.
We share the excitement of these fish coming back. We want to do what's right by the fish, and we want to make sure that we do our best to take care of them as well. It's exciting, it's fun. But doggone it, let's do what we promised and do the best that we can by those fish as well, and make sure that we're not creating opportunities for them to not go live out their life cycle the way that they're intended to.
Okay, now it's your turn to weigh in. Is it a matter of natural selection for some fish that may end up in a farm field with little water, becoming a potential easy meal for birds of prey? Or should the state and feds kick things into gear to better protect the fish? Email us the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail 503-226-5090.